What is up, my fellow writing addicts? I'm Marissa.
And I'm Haley.
And today we're going to be answering questions off of Reddit from the writer tag.
Because, well, it's the writer subreddit.
Well, yeah, sorry, I don't do Reddit at all.
This is a new experience for her.
Oh, thank you. Wait, how do you dive down onto Reddit?
Oh. I just know about it. I don't use it, but I know about the stuff from, like, Tumblr, YouTube, other social medias.
The most I have is that people compile, like, a subreddit of something and then put it on YouTube for my enjoyment. But I don't pay attention, so...
Learning experience for Marissa.
Woo.
Well, because we'd like to give advice to people, we thought, why don't we see what people are asking and then answer their questions?
Yep, you can actually go to these and see what we answer because we're actually answering them.
Yeah.
You can't see it, but there is a keyboard.
Alright, so let's just start off with one of yours. One question you found.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what do I do if my story is going in a million directions? I feel like my story is so unorganized. The characters don't work well together. The plot is splotchy, and I have no idea where to go. What do I do? I like the overall premise I have, but it seems like I'm confused now.
The reason I picked this is because this happens to me a lot. Mm-hmm. Where sometimes I don't sit on it's like a twofold problem. Sometimes I sit on a story not long enough where I don't have all the details yet, so I don't know where I want to end or where I want to begin. But sometimes I sit on a story too long and I end up with too many ideas, and it's like, what was my original idea? What was I going for? What option should I go with? Because, every new option comes with a whole host of new possibilities. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what do I do?
I have this problem all the time, where it's either I have too many ideas or I have not enough. Or both at the same time, weirdly enough.
I feel you.
So what I usually do, this is where outlining really comes in, and it's really helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Because just by outlining before you start writing, you're already focusing yourself. I know that outlining doesn't work for everyone. Like, some people are what we call pantsers, where they kind of just, when they write, they just don't have anything planned. They just do.
They have to, just let it out naturally. I talked to a few, and they can even, take down notes for, future events. They can't do it sometimes. It depends, will vary from pantser to pantser, but essentially, if you are bogged down by outlining, try either lighting that up or just going in blind.
But, if you don't know if you're a pantser or not, you should definitely try organizing. Outlining. If outlining doesn't work, I guess it's good to just write down what you have.
Write down your ideas. I know one thing that I do, especially since, they said that the characters don't work well together. Mm-hmm. Try writing little scenes with your characters. I know, for us, it's easy because we just RP them. So
yeah. RP equals role-playing.
Yes, and essentially it means that we put our characters in a scenario, and she writes as her characters, I write as mine. They talk, we see what happens. It's kind of nice not to know what the other person's going to say. But since it's probably just a one, author at a time kind of deal, one trick I learned is writing exercises or taking a scene, just little things. I know I did that once in a class, and it really expanded a story of mine. Definitely also, if you want to feel more organized, you're like, where do I go? Try to figure out if there's a theme that you want to go to. If you have a main character, where do you want them to end? And try to organize the events based on... Bless you, Haley.
Allergies.
They're a killer. Just holding my invisible ball.
I'm sorry for Marissa, who's going to edit this later and is going to have to hear that.
I'm done. I don't even know what I was going to say. Oh, essentially, you've tried to organize the events to get to that point the most effectively or efficiently, or whatever word I tried as I combined the two accidentally. Anything else? I hope this person figured out what they want to do. Because it can be so confusing once you get into the thick of something and you're like, but there's so many ways this could go.
I know, yeah, honestly.
Where do I want this to end?
Yeah, honestly, just doing the pre-writing stuff, outlining, and then if that doesn't work, I guess also taking a step back.
Yeah.
Putting it on a shelf for a bit and then coming back to it will help too, looking at it, fresh start.
I know I do that. Sometimes where I have too many ideas, what I do is try not to think about it all the ideas. Like I start brainstorming essentially, and I see what settles, because a lot of my ideas tend to bug me if they really are important to me or there's something more to figure out, and I try to follow those and see where they lead. So try that. A lot of tips and tricks, which we now have to put down into writing.
Yeah. We're just gonna fast forward into the next question after we write stuff down.
Then. We're back from writing, and it's time for Haley to choose one of hers. We each have 3, by the way, in case you want to count, see how long this video is going to be. Boop. Oh, Haley chose her first one. How did I not see that coming? How would you advise me to get into the mind of a teen while writing a young adult novel? I'm currently in the process of writing a young adult novel that I'd like to write specifically for 16 to 19-year-olds. What are some of the tips you can offer for me for accurately depicting how a teenager acts in terms of attitude, worldview, and things like that?
I remember when we had the podcast, we actually talked about this.
Yeah, we did.
And I think one of the things we said was definitely, I guess, find a teenager and talk to them.
I know one thing is a lot of teenagers now are essentially Gen Z and they have that kind of humor. So try to get into maybe that culture as much as possible. I think the hardest thing is you want to put things in there that teens like, but you almost want to stay away from that because it ends up being cringy and dated.
Yeah, like, I guess just don't date yourself so much. I know, okay. Online, now that we're in the age of the internet, you can find other teenagers without being weird and stalking them and talking to them. So, like...
Sorry, just real quick tangent. It's like, it's also the age where teenagers stalk grown men. The fandom world is odd. Just throwing that out there.
Okay, then, Marissa. Thanks for telling us.
I have good ideas, damn it.
But, now I lost... Oh, yeah, internet. Yeah, find out where the teens hang out on the interwebs, and I guess kind of just study them there. It's kind of weird to talk about teenagers if they're like a specimen, like a species. You're just like, and there is the wild teenager.
I mean, I know one thing that, like, I think everyone feels is that the feelings of being in high school and essentially hating your body and hating everyone else because puberty sucks, it isn't changed, you know? I've talked to adults about it and they're like, yep, sucked then. I guess it sucks now.
Yeah, there are just some things that just happen across all generations.
I just want to know where the whole, like, queen bee thing got started in high school. Like, what high school had, like, the absolute, like, mean girls queen bee? I've never actually seen it. But we also went to a magnet school.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I kind of know, but that's because I went to a public school for middle school.
I went to private, Catholic too, so... I mean, we kind of had, like, a queen bee group, but they wouldn't fuck with us, because we were a large group of very athletic girls who... Why the fuck would you pick on the girls who has, you know, bigger muscles? Doesn't make any sense.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Definitely read in the genre. I think you might get more ideas. I know that's my biggest thing. Definitely go based on past experiences. Try to stay away from movies, I think. I think they like to over-dramatize things. And yeah, just please don't date yourself. We saw the Sonic movie, and Sonic flosses the dance move, and that's fine. Kids dance however you want. But when you put that in a film, it's like, ooh, this is a little cringy, and it's not going to look good in 2 years when kids don't even know what this is anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's the only reason I didn't like it. I was like, the dating.
Well, time to type this up.
Yeah, time to type.
Fast forward.
Well, typing was fun. Time to go on to my second question, Haley.
Yes.
We're reading each other's shit now, for some reason. So we get in the groove of things.
Okay. Do y'all, specifically y'all,
Ew.
do y'all ever write scenes out of order? I'll have a draft which I write in chronological order, but if I have a scene in my head that I know comes later, or one where I don't know where or if to put in, I have a separate document where I write it down and save. I keep a loose outline of my story, but sometimes I'll be writing and an idea or a new scene will come to me and I have to write it or it'll slip away.
I know I definitely do. I try not to because I don't like to, mainly because the second I write out of chronological order, I know it means I have to come back and read through it all over again to make sure that everything flows. And I just like it if I write one scene and then I go to the next scene, so that way I still have the thoughts of the previous scene in my head. I can reference things like little nuances that make it seem like, oh shit, the entire time, when it's like, no, I was just there. I don't have to read anything. But I know that if I have sometimes, I know I'm cutting myself off here, but essentially sometimes when I'm writing, I just don't have an idea for a scene that is next, but I know what I'm going to write for, like, I don't know, the climax as example. I never jumped at the climax, but as an example, I will go and I'll write it and I'll make a note of it that it was written out of time and space, essentially. For this, I don't know, I don't know why they're ever asking, because it's not a weird thing to do. Write the book however you want to, in whatever order you feel is organic.
I guess it's more of a, am I the only one, or it's more of just, hey,
who else does this? Because I know I definitely do. At this point, I almost have a hard time writing in chronological order based on some things we do.
I am definitely, whatever the opposite of a pantser is, that is me. I've figured out that when I try pantsing, I don't finish anything. I can only do that for a short story, and then that's it. But when it comes to, like, a novel, it's like, I plan it out. I guess, okay, I won't be the complete opposite. I have to plan it out, like, what the scene is, but I don't have to plan out the scene. But I can write out of order. I really, really, really try, like, really strive to write in order, because whatever I write just naturally flows into the next thing. I guess I think I'm repeating exactly what you're saying.
Kind of. It seems like you're a little more strict about it.
Yeah,
well, I'm like, I don't mind doing it. It's just like, it just means more editing. I mean, you're gonna edit no matter what you do.
See, I can edit out of order, but I cannot write out of order.
Oh, I can't edit out of order, especially if it's like, because what I like to do is I start and go through the entire thing, and I'll catch things, and I'm like, okay, this needs to be here, this also needs to be here. Like, I can't. It depends on the edit, but for the most part, if I'm going through for consistency, start the beginning, and when I get to the end, I stop. That is it. I can't do it out of order, because I will forget things. I also have, like, a laundry list of stuff to make sure that I don't do anything, like, crazy.
Yeah.
Or, like, I forget something. So, if it's, like line editing, do that out of order.
It's probably preferred, actually.
Yeah, because at least then you stop reading and you just edit. So
Yeah.
it's probably something we should do later. Tips for future self.
Yes.
All right, Haley, any other advice for this person?
There's not really advice.
Fair. Well, time to write up our response, I guess.
And, well, we have finished doing that.
And yep, on to Haley's next question.
Yay! It's fun, because I don't actually remember what these questions are. I literally just found them, like, a few minutes before we started recording, and I still don't remember. So it'll be fun for me, too!
Okay, I'm gonna let you just judge her as I figure out what this thing's trying to say. I have a story plan to start writing, but end up writing a new story. So, over the past month or so, they've planned out 3 stories, but had over 10 story ideas, some of which can be put into one story, others which are like a whole story by themselves. But each time I go to start working the story, I can't think of how to start, therefore putting it off and creating a whole new story plot. It's frustrating, and I don't know how to sort that out. Or usually it's trying to start a story. I don't want it to be like almost every other story I've read. Say it's in first person, I was walking through, or I woke up, or whatever. I hate writing a story starting like that. Does anybody have any advice on how to fix it? That's a lot of questions. So let's
break it down.
Let's start with you have a story plan, but you end up writing a new story, and that problem.
Okay, so I planned out 3 stories and had over 10 story ideas, which some could be put to one story or have a whole story to themselves. But each time I go to start writing a story, I can't think of how to start, therefore putting off or creating a new story plot. Okay, so I'm guessing the real question is how do I start this story?
Yeah.
How do I start stories at all without it being like cliche or just I blank?
Because it seems like that like frustrates them, so they move to a different story in hopes that inspiration, I guess, will strike, and they know how to start, which beginnings suck.
Oh yeah,
I
suck.
hate them. Oh my god. I typically what I do is I kind of just start with whatever I'm thinking. I don't start with dialogue. For like a beginning of a chapter, I'm like more lenient with myself, but never for like the beginning of a book. I don't know why. I just don't like it, so I don't do it. Do you, boo? I typically start with like scenery. Like this, I get to setting and then I get to like character. Just so that way the character has a place to kind of walk around. But typically, once I go back and I edit it to death, and like beta readers get their hands on it, my beginning has changed so much that it's almost like unrecognizable from the beginning. Because like even our beginning for our book got like shifted around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think the real underlying problem that they're having right now.
Yeah.
I think what it is that they're somewhat unconsciously editing as they write.
Yeah.
So, like, they write something that's like, no, that's not good. Okay, let me change it up.
Yeah.
Instead of just letting it happen.
Yeah.
So I think they just need to write it and just go with it.
Yeah.
Or if it's really bugging them, I sometimes do this. I kind of write a summary of how I want it. I usually do this with scenes, but I guess it could work for a book. Just write like a little summary of what you're, like the gist of what you're trying to get, and just like pick up where you can pick off. So maybe they might have to start in the middle of the book and then come back to the beginning later.
Yeah, I guess it depends on like what they define as the beginning, because there's like the beginning as in like when you open the book, the first word's there. That's what I mean by scenery. Yeah. There's I know they don't mean like beginning of chapter, that's obvious.
Yeah.
But you also like there's a beginning, middle, and end of a book, and obviously, you know, you have certain beats. And if they feel like the beginning part where you kind of set everything up is kind of getting to them, yeah, maybe jumping in the middle might be a lot more fun. I definitely like the idea of, if it's like the very, very beginning, write a summary of what's happening, maybe a little bit of what happened before, and then kind of jump into a scene and come back to it later, maybe when they have an idea. If not, definitely, if you can get by it, write something and then come back.
Yeah, just put it down.
Yeah, even if it is like, I woke up to my house on fire.
Yeah. It's like, I know that's not what you want, but at least you have it, and you can keep moving forward.
Well, not only with that, but if you have something, if you have like a writer friend, or friends, or a group, or community, whatever have you, you can take it to them and say, this is kind of what I want, what should I do? Because it's always easier, I think, for people to read a beginning and be like, ooh, what if you did this?
Yeah.
And you can collect ideas versus just getting general ideas. Because at least they have some, like, an actual starting point for your story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we give bomb advice.
All right.
Go us.
Now it's time to put that in writing.
Cheer. Why do we do this to ourselves?
Because, I don't know.
All right. And away to writing.
Whee! All right, we're back.
Yes, after all that writing.
Okay, so this next one.
It's my last question.
Well, yeah, Marissa's.
Yeah, not her last, mine.
Feeling of inferiority after reading other books. So, I recently got done reading the Harry Potter series, and it inspired me to try to write my own fantasy adventure novel. But after I had gotten a few thousand words in, I sat back and looked at it and said, this is nowhere near as good as Harry Potter. Has anyone else experienced this, where you constantly compare your writing to other works and get discouraged because you feel that yours is inferior? If so, do you have any tips for overcoming that? All the time.
All the time. I know one thing that I had to stop myself from doing, because I used to do this a lot, where like I was essentially kind of like the conversation before, I was, because of this like fear that it wasn't as good as other books, I was editing as I wrote, and then I didn't writing because it wasn't perfect. And I mean, this is having to like Arcana, which for those of you who don't know is a essentially novella that I wrote in high school for NaNoWriMo, which was for a grade at the time. So I didn't have the time to be perfecting it as I went along. There was too much writing on it, so I had to essentially like kill that idea and just go with whatever random idea I had because, you know, TikTok bitch, you got a grade coming in.
Yeah.
But one thing that definitely helped me is when you're reading a book, like a published work, it's been looked over by editors and beta readers and the like, and it's been edited over and over and over and over again.
It's been worked on by probably literary agents and developmental editor and line editor and copy editor.
Oh yeah, and also like Harry Potter in general, editions come out depending on like maybe they find something they want to fix later. I see that a lot where they're like, okay, we've amassed enough small issues to fix in the next edition that's worth putting out with maybe a new cover. So I try not to compare myself to a finished work, especially when I'm doing a rough draft, because like your rough draft is shit. It's one universal thing you have to accept because, writing is rewriting essentially.
That, yeah, that's true. That's like the hardest lesson to learn is that your rough draft is not going to be good. And you're not going to be Harry Potter because there's only one Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's like you're not going to be Game of Thrones because there's only one Game of Thrones. Well, technically it's A Song of Ice and Fire. But yeah.
But most people know it as Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Whether you're looking at the book or the TV series, it is regardless. Because it's one thing that I think everyone struggles with is that you can't be another person. You have to be you.
Yeah, you can't be Stephen King. You can't be R.L. Stein. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I don't know why, but yeah.
I mean, he's a good author.
Yeah, you're not going to be Alice Walker. You're not going to be Charlotte Bronte. You're going to be you.
Which, is kind of exciting because you can make a name for yourself.
Yeah.
It's also terrifying, but it all comes with the package.
Yeah. And I guess there's not really much advice, any tips for overcoming that. It's just a mentality you have to get into.
I think one thing that definitely helps is essentially just as you're going through your rough draft, every time you feel that sense of doubt, you just have to continuously squish it down. Because once I got through Arcana and I got through writing it, and then even when I was editing it, like that was a struggle because it was the first time I was editing anything, so there's always that like newcomer fears. But once I got through that experience, when it comes to now writing the book we're doing now, it's actually a lot easier because I've already fought off that demon in a way. Yeah. And yeah, every now and then it comes up, like, will it be liked, the normal stuff, but I never compare myself to someone else. Typically what I do now, it's a change in mindset where I look at what I liked about other authors and I go, maybe I can implement that in my own writing, in my own way, but, kind of steal from them. But I never want to be them.
Yeah. Well, what else actually helps? I do actually have a tip.
Yay!
So this one is going to be weird.
Okay.
Get critiqued. Because when someone gives you when someone gives you a positive review, and if someone never gives you a positive, like anything positive about it, then their critique kind of sucks.
Yeah, a critique, you'll get this in another video. A critique should always have what they liked and what they disliked and some suggestions, not orders, on what can be fixed that you can take or not take. It's up to you.
But basically write down every positive thing someone says about your writing and keep it somewhere so that when you feel that happening where you're starting to get self-conscious and you think that your writing sucks, you can look back on it and then you'll kind of get your confidence back. I do that with my fan fictions because people have actually complimented my shit writing.
I haven't read it yet, but I can't wait. I know you don't want me to.
I don't. It's shit. I don't like it. It's so bad.
You read Arcana. I don't like it. I think it's shit. You think otherwise.
Your stuff is actually good.
It's going to be an ongoing debate. Oh no, I just realized real quickly. Your fanfiction is saved on my shitty laptop that's dying.
Oh no! I'm gonna find it. It's gonna be mysteriously broken. You don't even remember what my username is, do you?
No, because I bookmarked it for a reason. I don't remember shit, guys. I have to write it down. Anyway, back to the actual thing.
But yeah, so I look back at those. Or like, when we first put our book into beta readers, I literally took every positive comment I saw and made one document to put down for us. So whenever we're like, oh, we should give up the book, it's taking too long. It's taking
something,
forever.
yeah.
We can just look at that and it's like, no, people like our stuff and this is the bad part. This is like when it wasn't as good as what we have now.
Funny enough, this was like, I don't know where you got this idea, like either from a person or just whatever crevice from your brain just said, do it. But like, it has been so beneficial that you've done this because like late at night, like at 2 a.m. when you just hate everything in yourself, I've gone to that document and I've scrolled down. I know I need to add that email from Patrick where so we sent it off to, this is very, very early on. We had like another name, and trust me, it was not as good. We sent it off to this guy, this developmental editor, and he actually said like, yeah, it's a little rough, but like I see a lot of potential. And that has like carried us through so much. Hearing a professional and say, no, I like your stuff. Yes, it does need help, but it's worth working on. That alone is,
So yeah, get your work critiqued so then you can get those positive comments and then just keep getting it critiqued. So you can build upon it and then you have that thing to look at when you're feeling down.
Especially because you can talk to beta readers, go to like Fiverr and say, no, like it is more of a fledgling book. It isn't ready to be, pounded to hell with problems. I'm not there yet. They can go gentle. They'll work with you.
And then like when you just ask someone, like if you're asking like a friend, like, hey, can you read this? And if they only give you like the stuff that's bad, don't immediately be like, oh, it sucks. Ask them first, what do they like? And I guarantee they will have something. They'll be able to tell it. They just don't really think that they need to tell you, which is wrong, but I have the mentality too sometimes.
It's always fun whenever I send her something, like a chapter or segment, to get sent back, and it's just a list of problems, and I have to take a moment and be like, it's not the work, it's just how Haley is. I have to call her up, essentially, which I tend to forget to do, because it'll be like months later, and she's like, oh, you took that joke out, I liked it a lot. Tell me! Because otherwise I take it out, and or I don't know. I mean, she can tell you it's been an uphill battle just to get me to admit that I'm somewhat good at comedy.
We're working on it. How do you feel about romance?
I can do it less than comedy. No, we're trying to do it more. I don't remember. I know I'm okay at it.
Alright, well, gotta work on that, but it was better than before.
Before was straight up denial. Alright, time to
answer.
Yes. Yes, and away! And we are back from typing.
Yes. And now we're at our very last question for today.
Yes, which is young adult versus adult themes. I've asked this before, but I'm not sure I understand still the differences between young adult and adult. Great question. Most responses I say age of the main character and where the sex is in it, but there are certain themes or tones that are per genre. For example, young adult might be more identity discovery and adult can have a darker tone. I don't know. What if a story had an adult finding themselves or an adult that does not involve sex? Very fair.
Yep.
I think the line is definitely a lot blurred. I think it just really comes down like this very nitty-gritty line of like how far you can take something. Because I've read dark young adult books, but it's nothing compared to the dark young adult books that I've got my hands on.
So I know that the age of main character and like what exactly is in it are like two big indicators, but there's still like some like Catcher in the Rye. The main character is like a teenager, but I would not consider that a young adult novel so much.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, they have main characters that are teenagers.
Heck, they have they have kid characters. I do not consider it a kid book.
Yeah.
So
I think the main thing that separates them is definitely the themes.
Yeah.
Like what are some things that young adult story would have? It'd be like a lot of coming of age. If it's coming of age, that's a pretty good indicator.
Yeah.
Of young adult. If it's about like first love, young relationships, that's usually
young adult.
Yeah.
A lot of it is coming into your own or deciding your destiny, which is essentially pick a college.
Yeah.
Pick a major. Because I see that a lot where it's time for you to choose what you want to do. That's in Divergent. That's in it's not Hunger Games, but you know what I mean? You must decide.
Yeah.
You've come to age. I think it's more like you've come of age, time to sink or swim, bitch.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
Yep. And while adults would have I don't know, you won't really see a divorce in a young adult novel.
I feel like you could, but again, I really feel
like your parents could be divorced, but the character itself wouldn't
get a divorce. No. I definitely feel like it's also certain themes are taken just further. You're not gonna get an erotic, I hope not, sex scene in a young adult book, because that's not what it's about. It should just be an erotica, but some romances will blur that line.
Yeah.
I know I've seen some darker elements taken a lot farther. say like trigger warnings for this next bit. Typically you don't see like a rape in a young adult book.
Yeah.
Or severe torture. So
Yeah.
I mean, I've had adult books. I can't say the name because the age is actually a spoiler. So I will not say what book this is from, but there is a teenager where you find out then how old she is. That undergoes like a weird sense of torture, but definitely rape. And it's like, this is not a young adult book, but the main character technically is a young adult. Yeah, so, well, age can be, like, it's kind of like you said earlier, age can be an indicator, but isn't the definitive.
Yeah, and then usually the main character is not an adult in a young adult novel. I think, like, the younger you are, the more strict the age range is.
Yeah, typically, once you hit, like, young adult and younger, the age has to be around your reader's age, typically.
But with adult, it's more likely to be any age.
Yeah, and kind of like with Game of Thrones, even though we do, like, there is teenagers and young adults, a lot of the main cast that you see from are adults. So they kind of make up the bigger, like, broader characters than the young ones.
And I guess the best way to figure out if what you're writing is going to be young adult or adult is basically who are you going to market to?
Yeah.
That's the whole point of a young adult and adult separation is that who you're marketing to.
I think it's also how far do you want to take your themes. Like, if you really want to, like, tackle something, like, dark, like, obsession, that's really popular nowadays in, like, film and literature, then you're leaning more towards, adult. You can get away with it in young adult, but you have to kind of make sure you don't go too far.
Yeah.
So that's how I always dictate it. Like, how far do I want to go with themes? Because if I want to go dark, and I'm a dark writer, it's going to be an adult.
Yeah. I just go based on, well, who am I marketing to?
That too, yeah. I think both questions will really help narrow it down for you. Because, it's such a blurred line. I sometimes have trouble with this. Like, what's what?
Yeah.
I've actually had to look up books, actually. For if it's an adult or young adult. Because I couldn't tell.
Oh, like what?
I can't remember it now, but it's going to bug me now. But there was, like, 2 books where, like, are you this? I have no idea. And I had to, like, actually look into it, and I was actually surprised that...
Or was Catcher in the Rye young adult? Is it? I think it's under S.
Then it was not over there. It's over there.
Oh.
You know what's sad? You know how I know? Because it's George R. R. Martin's on the top shelf. That's M.
Wow.
For those of you who are like, holy shit. I mean, to be fair, I do have quite a lot of manga up there. It's not a ton, but it's a good section. Ghost still here. Oh yeah. And then you have some comics, and then it
Books.
starts.
Oh.
Yeah.
We have the same version. I didn't ever notice.
Yeah, we do.
Anyways, answering the questions.
Yes, actually writing it down. Ready?
Right. Oh, well, that's all we've got for you guys today. I mean, I had fun.
Oh, I had tons of fun.
Yeah, it's nice answering people's questions and helping out. And...
Yeah, especially because, everyone's got little bits of individual advice that might work for you. Or not, test it out.
Yep. If you think we should do this again, tell us in the comments below. You can find us on Reddit, wherever the fuck we decide to put it on the screen. I don't know where that is. I'm assuming it'll be, like, here.
Your hand is disappearing out of the shot, by the way. I can tell her that right now. Yikes. Yeah, probably around here area, if you can see that area, actually. I don't know what's on screen, guys.
That is...
I can't see what you see.
So we've only recorded how many episodes?
It changes based on what it is, and you're the one who set up the shot, so I actually have no idea.
That is true. Anyways, yeah, tell us in the comments below, and then, find us on Reddit, and hit the subscribe button to be notified when the next episode comes out, and click the bell, and the like button, and every button but the dislike button.
And come follow us on Twitter at writing_addicts or at Facebook, facebook.com/writingaddicts, because we'd like to hear from you, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!